Welcome back to the F1 2020 My Team series. This series and just my channel in general took a little bit of a break. I just wanted a bit of time off doing videos because I've been pumping out that content ever since this series and the Football Manager Palermo series started. I've just been pumping out that content, doing as much content as I can, and plus a few other things have been going on as well. So that is why this has taken a little bit of break, but we're back. And we are heading off to our second street circuit in a row as we are heading off to Baku for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And that is a much better circuit. I don't know why I said much that many times. That is a much better circuit than Monaco. Easier to overtake. It's got that massively long straight. It's as long as 3 or 4 straights. And it is just... I much prefer Baku. Baku is a circuit that I actually like on this game. So expect decent racing because I like racing at this track. As we head into qualifying then, off the back of our best result of the season so far at Monaco, I suppose that was a bit of a spoiler already, but if you haven't seen that episode, I would suggest going and watching it now because it was a crazy race on the streets of Monaco, and we ended up finishing in P4 after pitting on lap 1 under the safety car for hard tyres. We ended up finishing in P4 after starting in P10, I think we started in, but we go on our first flying lap here in Baku. A much easier circuit to drive. Yes, it's a street circuit, the same as Monaco, but it's a lot wider. Yes, there are some very tight turns, but it's nowhere near as hard as Monaco is. I mean, you've got the castle section, as you see me take it there, but if you get that right, it is very easy to do. You just have to get the exact right line, and with the racing line on, it's obviously a bit easier to do that. You have to get the exact right line through there to get it right, but when you get it right, it feels so satisfying. As we come through then to end our first flying lap around the streets of Baku, it's probably not been the best of laps. Like I always say, the first lap is always a banker lap just to get a lap in. It's never normally my best lap, and it's not going to be my best lap either now. I mean, we're going as straight as we can on the straight. We've gone into P7, but out of 8 people, so yeah, that's not the greatest of starts. So we go on another flying lap to try and get out of Q1. We've made up nearly a second, and now we've made up over a second on our first lap as we're now into sector 3 and on the long straight to hit the start-finish line. We are losing a few thousandths here and there on this straight, but there's nothing I can do about that. It's literally a straight line. There's nothing I can do to make myself go faster in a straight line. As we floor it across the line, we were in P20 and we've lifted ourselves all the way up to P4 in Q1, which is quite an achievement considering that our car must just suit this track so well. Callum Ilott qualifying in pretty much his usual position at this point of P18, but Pierre Gasly had a shocker of a qualifying session in P20, and Lando Norris as well in the McLaren getting knocked out in Q1 in P17. But we head into Q2, and really in Q2 we only have one chance to get through to Q3 as you were, because we used 2 sets of soft tyres in Q1, so we only have 1 spare set left for Q2, and of course if we get through to Q3 then we get given an extra set, because we have to use the race set pretty much then. But the weather's a lot nicer now around Baku, and this lap is looking pretty decent so far. There's not really a gauge because, you know, obviously I haven't set a lap in this session yet, so there's no delta time to go against, but this lap seems like a good lap so far, as we absolutely throw ourselves around the final 2 corners on this track and down the main straight. This is our one and only time we're setting. We're right at the end of qualifying. What is it going to be? Will we get through to Q3 for the second race in a row? Does this track really suit our car that much? Maybe. Yes, it does. It's P5. So we were P4 in Q1 and we're P5 in Q2. That is pretty special for us. And also, could I just point out, by the way, massive shout out to Roman Grosjean, who qualified in P11 in a Haas. So fair play to him, and the 2 Red Bulls as well, P9 and 10. So they only just scraped through. But this is our final lap in qualifying. We're in Q3. We're on the race set of soft tyres. We're heading round the final bits of track now, round the final 2 sort of braking zones, because the final 2 corners of this track are not braking zones. They're basically part of the straight. You don't brake after that corner. It's actually ridiculous how long you go just with your foot planted on the accelerator as we absolutely power ourselves down the main straight. What is this lap time going to be? Can we get higher than P10? Because of course in Monaco we got into Q3 and ended up qualifying P10. What is it going to be this time? Is it going to be any higher? It's P7. That is technically best of the rest if you think about it. But as you'll see in a second, the qualifying, the order is absolutely mad. Sergio Perez is on the front row. We're technically best of the rest, but the racing points are there at the top instead of the Red Bull, so the racing points have had an absolute madness of a qualifying. Perez in second and Stroll in fourth. Let's get on with this race. This is going to be very interesting.
Good afternoon and welcome to Baku. This was the arena, if you think back to 2017, of one of the most eventful races of modern history, with controversy behind the safety car, last-second overtakes, and a historic podium for Williams and for Lance Stroll. So let's find out what lies in store for us this year. It's time for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It's 3.7 miles around a lap of Baku city circuit then, with 7 rights and 13 lefts, giving us a total of 20 corners. Watch out for the safety car today. Incidents are already common on this circuit, and the wet conditions will only make things worse, particularly through the incredibly narrow turn 8. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Lawrence. That was a solid result in their last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Stroll, Sebastian Vettel and Leclerc, Lawrence, Verstappen, Ricciardo and Alexander Albon, Sainz, Ocon, Kimi Raikkonen and Kvyat, Magnussen, Norris, Callum Eilert and Antonio Giovinazzi, Gasly, Russell, Grosjean and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out. Then let's see who can prevail today.
So as you saw there then, it is wet for the start of this race, but as you can see on the screen, it is going to dry up fairly quickly. Who knows how quick? We've just been put on a strategy to pit once for a second set of inters. That is clearly not going to happen with the kind of weather that we have here. But let's get this underway then, shall we? As we get ready for the 5 red lights. Here they are. We are ready to go racing. It's lights out and away we go here in Baku, and it's a good start compared to Charles Leclerc. We're all on inters. We're already ahead of Leclerc, looking to get ahead of Stroll. We get our braking all wrong. We nearly smash into the back of Sebastian Vettel. We go wide at turn 1. We're still ahead of Leclerc, who's now battling with Verstappen behind us. But into turn 2, we go around the outside of Lance Stroll. That is a fantastic move to get up into P5, and we've made great progress there, making up 2 positions in the first 2 corners, but up ahead the front 4, Hamilton, Perez, Bottas, Vettel. It's a very, very big battle going on, and potentially, you know, whoever comes out on top of this battle could win the race. But it remains to be seen what happens with the rain, of course. You know, the rain could completely change everything, but right now we've made a fantastic start, and it's very hard to drive this track in wet conditions. It's something I've done in the past. It's very, very hard to do. The corners become even tighter, and of course the flipping castle section is next level. I mean, as you're going to see now, we're going to come up to it. I might as well show you this bit as we go through the castle section. Look at how slow we have to go. And we nearly oversteer into the wall there as well. And as we head on to lap 2, the front 4 are already checking out ahead of us, but behind us Lance Stroll is putting on the pressure. We oversteer coming out of turn 2, and Lance Stroll's now got a great run on us down the next straight. Of course, he doesn't have DRS, it's raining, and it's only lap 2, and he goes to the inside, but we brake later. Oh, we nearly hit the wall. We do actually graze the wall with our tyre there, and Stroll is still side by side with us, but this time we have the inside line into the next turn and we get away with it. But we're now on lap 3, so only the next lap, and Jeff on the radio was already telling us to pit for dry tyres, so only 3 laps in. On the weather forecast, it sort of I did not expect that to be only 3 laps in. It looked like it would be more like 6 or 7 laps in, but here we go. And Stroll's putting the pressure on us down the straight, but it's going to count for nothing, as we do hit the wall there a little bit. But again, that doesn't really mean much either, or at least I don't think it does, as we're coming into the pits anyway. So Stroll putting the pressure on us is a bit pointless, because he's also coming into the pits along with almost everyone else. Albon stays out. Most people come in, but Albon stays out. One of the AlphaTauri stays out, one of the McLarens and one of the Williams. That's it. But we're in the pit lane, and we're right at the end of the pit lane, so we've held quite a few people up. But as you can see, hitting the wall there right at the end of that lap did mean something, because we're now having our front wing changed. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but we've actually gone on to soft tyres now. Jeff actually recommended we go soft and then hard. I don't plan on doing that. I hope that mediums will last in the second stint, because the fact that we've done 3 laps on the inters and now we've got softs on, if I could make these softs last for a lap or 2 longer than they should do, or if there's a safety car or something, then mediums should work, as Daniel Ricciardo is putting pressure on us down the straight. He's got ahead of us with the DRS, but we're going to send it down the inside on Daniel Ricciardo and get the place back into turn 1. If you saw, we came out in P11 behind Carlos Sainz. We're now in P7, of course, as all the rest of the people have pitted for their dry tyres, or at least most of them have anyway. But we're now in P7, so we are at a disadvantage. But at the same time, I didn't realise I'd broken my front wing, let's face it. But it's a good job they fixed it, because, you know, it means we've now got more grip going through this race. And once again, we're on to the very next lap, and we're heading down the straight again, and Ricciardo is even closer to us this time. We sort of block him off a bit there to sort of, you know, his momentum, let his momentum go a bit, because he had way too much. But he's going to get us again with a DRS, and Kvyat behind is also looking pretty dangerous. We're on the outside this time, but again, we get the job done into turn 1. We sort of pinch him a bit. We give him absolutely no room to work with, and now he is under pressure from Kvyat, and also from Stroll, and also from Albon. And yeah, it's a massive battle going on behind us there. Many cars in that battle behind us. And this is on the very next lap, actually. Ricciardo and Albon going side by side. I've managed to clear them a little bit. Albon, the Red Bulls are not fast on this track at all, so Albon getting ahead of Ricciardo on the last lap really helped me out loads. But in the end, Albon manages to get back past Ricciardo again, and I've got away from them. I'm 2 seconds ahead. And on to lap 9 now, and this is the lap when people actually start making their second pit stop for their second set of dry tyres. Look at our tyre wear. We've got quite a bit of tyre wear on these soft tyres. And I was thinking of coming in. I was told to come into box for the hard tyres, but I thought, no, as I said earlier, I'm gonna stay out. 4 of the cars ahead of us pit, so we're now in P3 with Bottas in the lead and Carlos Sainz in second place. Albon also stayed out as well, so all those guys ahead of us pit and gone onto the hard tyres, but we're going to stay out for a lap or 2 longer and go onto the mediums. We've got 62% on the rear right, on the right rear tyre, so we can't stay out for that much longer on these softs, but I feel like if we just do a couple more laps on these soft tyres, we can make mediums last long enough until the end of the race. Again, a bit like Monaco, they'll be very worn out come the end, and we'll be being put under pressure for sure, but towards the end. But at the same time, it's a faster tyre, so that means that we'll have a massive advantage on the cars ahead of us. So here we go then. We actually pit on the next lap because the tyres would not last for 2 more laps. I did set repair wing damage to no, because there's no chance I'm doing that again. I'm not going through that again. Even if my wing is damaged, I'm not doing it again. But as you can see there, Sainz and Bottas have both pit. There are people who are still out on those soft tyres, but we're going to pit onto a set of mediums, unlike a lot of others. Callum Ilott is also in the pits as well, but we're not going to hold him up at all because we're that far ahead of him. And we're now out in P14, just behind Nicholas Latifi, but we're going to go and make a move on him, because why the hell not? And later on in the lap, these medium tyres are already working their magic as Verstappen is ahead on the hard tyres, and we're catching up to him at a rate of knots, and we're going to go down the inside. That is such a hard turn to do when you're not making a move, let alone diving down someone's inside. Like I said, the Red Bulls are not fast around here at all. They both qualified behind me. We've got a big advantage with our engine and just our, I don't know what is up with our car at this track, but this car is just so good at this flipping track. As we now got the DRS on Gasly. Gasly's actually going to pit, so it's not Gasly we're going to try and make a move on here. It's going to be, look at the three ahead of us, Vettel, Perez, and I think the other one is Sainz. Yes, the other one is Sainz. We're catching up to them so quickly. And we're now right on the back of them in this same lap. We've got the DRS, we're past Vettel, and we're going to swoop to the inside of Perez as well. It's a move reminiscent of what Eduardo Mortara did in the first Formula E race in Saudi Arabia this season, where he got the slipstream on one car, went to one side, and then darted down between both of them and got the move done. It's a superb move. We've got past Vettel and Perez. Don't forget, Sergio Perez started second in this race. He was P2 on the grid, and now we're ahead of him. And now ahead of us, we've got Carlos Sainz on the hard tyres, and we're catching up to him very quickly on the straight as we actually go and set the fastest lap of the entire race. As we go down the inside of Carlos Sainz, it's a late move. We've actually managed to stick it ahead of him, but he's going to go side by side with us again. But we're going to go round the outside this time into turn 2, and we've managed to get ahead of him. We've got the DRS, and now we're up into P3, and this is P3 on track as well. This ain't no because I haven't pit yet or anything. No, this is a legit P3 on track. This is where we are, and now we've got the medium tyres on as well, so we can get away from these guys. We can potentially, only potentially, start catching up to the two Mercedes ahead. It's a massive doubt that we're going to do that, even with better tyres on. Looks like Bottas has also had the same idea as me and stuck mediums on, hoping that they'll last to the end of the race. But the guys behind us, we can now get away from these guys. We've got the much better tyres. We've got amazing straight line speed on the straight. It's just absolutely ridiculous how good our car has been in this race. And we've now got a massive chance of earning a podium, which is something that I didn't think was in the realms of possibility this season. It's ridiculous. As we go on board with Max Verstappen here, he's part of this 4-car battle behind us that includes Sebastian Vettel, Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz, and he sails past Vettel on the main straight. There's us just in the foreground there, Perez and Sainz having a little battle, and Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel having a battle. And this is good. Keep doing that, please, because we're just going to get away even quicker. We've already broken the DRS. We've already broken the DRS from Sainz, and so now we're pretty much in our own race. We just need to consolidate this position. We just need to stay here, keep going as well as we are, and just hope that those guys behind battle even more, because it means we're just going to be even more comfortable in this P3 position. And just a couple of laps later, this is Perez and Sainz going wheel to wheel now as well, all the way from turn 1 into turn 2. Who's going to get ahead by the end of turn 2? Sainz, I think, hits the inside curb there, because Perez has got all the momentum in the world there to get ahead of him, and he eventually does. And yeah, like I say, just keep battling. Look, we're now 3 seconds ahead. We're now 3 seconds ahead of these guys, so keep going, keep doing that, lads. Please do it, keep going. And we're now all the way up to lap 23, and we've maintained this 3-second gap. We've got a yellow flag behind us, though. Something's gone on. And here's the two Red Bulls, and oh no! They've made contact! Albon's gone into the back of Verstappen. Or Verstappen's gone into the back of Albon, sorry. And in the end, the two Red Bulls have come together. It's happened again at Baku. Of course, remember Verstappen and Ricciardo back in 2018, where Ricciardo slammed into the back of Verstappen into turn 1 and put both cars out. It's happened again. Verstappen has gone into the back of Albon and broken his front wing, and that just now leaves Perez and Vettel behind us to battle it out. And yeah, they're the only two cars really who could catch us up towards the end of this race, but at the moment we're still maintaining that 3-second gap to them. But now, coming down the main straight on lap 24, we get a radio message from Jeff.
The car in front is a second a lap faster, 1 second.
And that is not what we wanted to hear, but at the same time, it's not exactly... It's predictable. It's exactly what I thought was going to happen. Our tyres are now starting to go off, and Perez and Vettel behind us are starting to catch up to us. They've already made up half a second, and now with just 2 laps to go, if they're catching up to me by a second a lap, then on the last lap they're going to be right on my gearbox. And as we enter the last lap, Perez is now only 1.3 seconds behind us. We just need to hold it together for this final lap to get our first podium in Formula 1. Of course, Perez is also being challenged by Sebastian Vettel behind him, so Perez is doing attack and defence at the same time. But as you can see, around the corner, we've got barely any traction out of that corner, and Perez is now nearly within a second of us, and now he is within a second of us pretty much. We've just got absolutely nothing around his corners. The tyres are dead, the tyres have gone, and Perez on those hard, like the hards are now in their working window, that they're in their best sort of form, as it were, and our mediums are now really starting to go off. We've lost 5 seconds to Hamilton. I don't know if you noticed throughout this race, but we were actually gaining on Hamilton. We only got to about 4.5 seconds behind him at the closest, but now we're just trying to keep Perez and Vettel behind us. He's now only half a second behind us. We just need to get it right through the rest of this lap. We've done the castle section. That's the hardest bit of the track over and done with. But you've got to remember that the straight, Perez is going to have DRS. And normally when you're the car behind on the straight, you're more than likely going to get ahead and get the position off the person in front. So we really need to hold it together here. We need to put up a massive stern defence to try and keep Perez behind. We need to get good traction out of this corner, which we haven't got in the slightest. And just 3 tenths behind, 2 tenths behind, Valtteri Bottas wins the race. Can we hang on to this podium place? Perez has lost a bit of time there. He's now 3 tenths behind us, but he's got plenty of time to try and catch up to us. Can he do it? Can we actually get a podium in Formula 1 in our first season in existence? You best believe we can. P3. What a drive. What a performance. Absolutely outstanding. It's something that I didn't think would happen in Season 1. And if it did, not this early.
And so ends another Azerbaijan Grand Prix, a fascinating race and a well-deserved victory. So Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
How good does that look? I mean, of course, the podium sequences don't really show the third place person, but just the fact that we're standing up there, spraying the champagne, I'm spraying it onto my team as they deserve it. They're the ones that have helped me get to this point already. Just 5 races into my Formula 1 career and the team's Formula 1 career. We've got a podium. We've gone and bloody got a podium. How about that? I actually can't believe that we've managed to do this. We've managed to do that. I actually can't believe it. In terms of the driver standings, we've moved up to P4. P4. We're ahead of both Red Bulls and a Ferrari. We're behind the 3 that have finished on almost every podium. Bottas and Hamilton have finished on every podium so far. Leclerc's finished on 2, along with Kvyat and Norris on the other 2, and then me on the other one. So Bottas and Hamilton have finished 1, 2 in every race so far, I believe. Or at least they've both been on every podium. Callum Ilott remains in P15, of course, with those 4 points from Monaco. And the 2 Williams and the 2 Haas cars remain the only 4 that don't have points as of yet. But wow, P4 in the standings after 5 races. Who'd have thought that, eh? Who would have thought that we would finish? We would be in P4. In terms of the constructors, we move up to P5 ahead of McLaren. Of course, my 15 points have really helped us climb up that table there ahead of McLaren. We're now 11 points ahead of them, and we're looking like we're in the midfield battle as opposed to in the back end battle. And that is actually going to be it for this episode. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you like what you see and you want to see more. And if you don't want to miss a video on this channel, then hit that little bell next to the subscribe button and you will get a notification whenever I upload. And until next time, guys, thanks so much for watching. Peace.